Namaskar. What if I told you that this entire India-Canada spat is an elaborate exercise on part of Justin Trudeau to try and hide what is coming down the pipeline regarding China funding his party as well as perhaps his family, and also China playing a big part in many elections in and around Canada? Well, I'm going to show by way of a slide deck all the data that we have got over the last 4 or 5 years. And some of the stuff is from the Canadian government itself. That will hopefully convince you that this is indeed the fact. So before we jump into the slide deck, a small request to all of you to please like this video. And if you have not already subscribed to our channel, please do subscribe to our channel. Because of the volume of content that we are putting out, it is possible that you are not getting notifications. So your liking this video at this point will help us make this thing go viral. Here we go. China's connection with Trudeau, or CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, behind Trudeau. What exactly is going on? There is a foundation called Pierre Elliott Trudeau Foundation, named after the father of Justin Trudeau. And is this one of the big things under contention? So we're going to take a look at all this stuff. So is all this stuff created to just somehow divert people, that is people of Canada, attention away from the bigger problem that Trudeau is facing? Now, I have to tell you that in the next month or so, 3 provinces and 5 municipalities are going to elections in Canada. And then in October 2025, they have the federal election. My guess is that the government is going to collapse and there will be midterm elections before that. But the most immediate objective appears to be to try and keep people focused on things other than what Trudeau is himself facing by way of investigation. Next slide, please. So, what is the Pierre Elliott Trudeau Foundation? This was established in 2001 to honor the former Canadian Prime Minister Pierre Elliott Trudeau. The foundation provides scholarships, mentorship, and leadership programs supporting research in humanities and social sciences. There you go. As if money is needed for this. It operates independently of the Canadian government. So this is one of the things that you build up this facade. It could be something like a think tank, it could be a research organization, it could be whatever, but basically it is supposed to further the name of the Trudeau family. Chinese donation controversy. What was this? Donations to the charity increased when Trudeau became the leader of the Liberal Party of Canada, and again in 2015 when the party won the federal election. In 2016, the foundation received a grant of 200,000 from 2 Chinese businessmen, Zhang Bin, a Chinese billionaire, and Niu Ginsheng, another wealthy Chinese entrepreneur. This is where Zhang Bin is the key character here, so I would like you to keep this person's name in the back of your mind as we go through this slide deck. The donation was intended to honor Pierre Trudeau and to fund scholarships and student programs. And they come up with an elaborate rules for this. Next one, please. Reports emerged in 2023, that is 6 years or 7 years later, suggesting that this donation may have been part of an effort by the Chinese government to exert influence in Canadian politics. Now, there are articles that we are going to give links to. If you read them more, they say that there is a possibility that at least 11 elections were influenced by Chinese money in Canada in the last concluded elections. So this has become a bit of a menace, and we don't even know the extent of infiltration the Chinese have done into the Canadian society. I know that in Vancouver, they had to come up with special restrictions to limit the amount of funding coming in from China to buy up the real estate in Vancouver. I mean, that's how prevalent or how strong Chinese influence is. The donation became controversial because it was revealed during the same period when allegations of Chinese interference in Canadian elections came to light. The broader issue of foreign interference raised concerns about whether the foundation or other institutions might be vulnerable to influence from foreign actors, particularly China. The Canadian government and opposition parties expressed concern about the potential conflicts of interest, given that the foundation bears the name of Trudeau, Pierre and Justin, and there's also his brother. He'll come into the picture in just a moment. The donation and its potential links to China became part of the broader investigations into foreign interference in Canadian democracy. By the way, yesterday we touched upon a spokesperson talking about Pakistani influence also in Canadian politics. Critics have also accused Trudeau of being overly soft on China, particularly during the early years of his administration. Next. In April 2023, the president and board of directors of the Pierre Trudeau Foundation resigned due to controversy over the 2016 donation with alleged ties to China. The foundation cited pressure from the political climate and politicization of the $200,000 donation, making it impossible to continue as before. 3 directors remain temporarily to manage responsibility for the foundation's operation, and the PM himself distanced himself from this, saying that this has nothing to do with him. Next. Now, the Canadian Security Intelligence Service in February 2023 captured a 2014 conversation between a Chinese diplomat and Zhang Bin. Remember the billionaire I talked to you about? Where they were discussing donations to the Trudeau Foundation and Canada's 2015 federal elections. The diplomat instructed Zhang to donate $1 million to the Pierre Trudeau Foundation, with the Chinese government going to reimburse him. By the way, this is par for the course. A lot of these kinds of things happen. It is just that when they are caught that people start becoming shocked. Justin Trudeau's Liberal Party won the 2015 election, and Zhang attended a Liberal fundraiser in May 2016. Next one, please. So, how did this 1 million get distributed? 200,000 we know went to the Trudeau Foundation, 50,000 for a statue for Pierre Trudeau, and 750,000 to the University of Montreal's law faculty. The Trudeau's office claims he was unaware of the donations and had withdrawn from the foundation's affairs after becoming the Liberal leader. Reports suggest Chinese interference in Canada's 2019 and 21 elections, covertly supporting mostly Liberal candidates. Again, like I told you, if you read one link, you'll see that 11 candidates benefited. Rosenberg, a former Trudeau Foundation CEO from 2014 to 18, was selected to write an independent report on foreign threats in the 2021 election. I mean, everybody kind of agreed that in 2021, the influence of China was quite apparent, it looks like. And the Conservative Party questioned the nomination of a person who's so close to the Pierre Foundation, that is Rosenberg. So how can you have somebody who's so closely connected with the Trudeau family, where the accused himself, Justin Trudeau, is a member to this whole thing? He's the subject of this investigation. So Trudeau said a public inquiry is not necessary, as the House committee is studying the interference. So this, you see this thing, right? Somewhere they try to appoint a committee, but the person who's heading it is also a Trudeau family friend. Then where is the justice here? Zhang Bin expressed plans before the 2015 election to make donations in Canada. So Zhang Bin is one billionaire, but he's essentially just doing what the CCP is telling him to do. Maybe he has interest in China, and those will get affected if he doesn't do their bidding. I mean, he's just a carrier, if you will. The intent and the players are the CCP and the politicians of Canada. Now, Zhang noted that the Canadian youth didn't know much about Norman Bethune, a Canadian doctor celebrated in China for his role in aiding Mao Zedong's Communist Party. Zhang also donated $800,000 to the University of Toronto Faculty of Medicine in his honor. Former Ambassador 𝗤𝙧 questioned whether Zhang's donations were linked to the United Front Work Department, a CCP organization that promotes Beijing's interests abroad through donations, co-opting politicians, and offering paid trips. Zhang often attended events involving Canadian politicians and officials visiting China, raising concern about his ties to the CCP. Chinese officials reportedly preferred Justin Trudeau to become PM over Stephen Harper. Some of the officials celebrated Trudeau's election, indicating they felt the relationships between Canada and China would improve should Trudeau come to power. After his election, the Liberal government initially pursued negotiations for a free trade deal with China, but that did not come about. Now, in February of this year, this is where things now they're getting to the climax point. In February of this year, a law firm hired by the foundation to investigate donations tied to the two wealthy Chinese businessmen said it could not rule out the possibility cash sent to Montreal charity may have been part of an influence scheme targeting the Trudeau government. The probe concluded the foundation's handling of tax receipts related to the Chinese donations violated the Income Tax Act, and PM Justin Trudeau's brother Alexander broke internal rules and policies by accepting the $200,000 donation pledge, which he was not authorized to do. So officially now there is determination by the Income Tax Department of malfeasance, and it involves the brother of Justin Trudeau, Alexander. Next. Now, slowly leaks started coming out of the CSIS, the Canadian Security Intelligence Services. It revealed Chinese interference in 2019 and 2021 elections involving 11 candidates and covert CCP funding. This is what I was talking to you about at the beginning. Trudeau was allegedly briefed on the CCP's clandestine network before the 2019 election, but did not take action. Remember, I told you about Chinese police stations in many of the cities in the West? Well, we don't even know how many exist in Canada. There was one series I saw in Netflix, if I remember correctly, about the interplay between US and Canada about some drug smuggling and how the intelligence officers are, influenced, and lots of politics inside Canada. It was a very intriguing series. I don't remember the name now. I'm sure some of you may have watched it on Netflix. Efforts targeted Chinese Canadian communities, with Chinese international students coerced into campaigning for Liberal candidates. Han Dong MP and Michael Chan were named as key figures tied to CCP interference, with CCP-friendly donations linked to Trudeau's Liberal Party. So the plot thickens. More and more people are getting involved in this. It is believed that the Canadian Trudeau's decision to escalate tensions over the killing of Niger is linked to his upcoming deposition before a key commission investigating China's interference in Canadian politics. So this is the main thing that he's trying to camouflage by doing all these other ruckus around Niger. Trudeau's recent accusations against India were made just before a scheduled hearing where the officials from his office are to testify before the Foreign Interference Commission. The commission is investigating allegations that Trudeau's administration has been negligent in addressing China's growing influence in Ottawa. Ottawa is the capital of Canada. The report by the Times of India suggests that the accusations might be strategically timed in relation to the ongoing foreign interference inquiry. Despite the intense accusations, Trudeau and his security establishment have not provided any evidence to substantiate their claims against India. Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP, appears to have been co-opted to do this. By the way, many Canadian journalists themselves are questioning this RCMP report. In fact, some of them delved a little bit deeper, and they said that the RCMP report actually says what Indian government has been saying all along. So it's not as if the entire Canada or the entire Canadian media is after Trudeau. They're not standing with him. They're all questioning these things. So please understand this. There is huge amount of politics going on, and that's why I took up this different angle rather than just get outraged about what Canada has been claiming and about Pannu's statements. These are all in the air. Tomorrow they'll drop him like a hot potato and Pannu's gone. Source referred to the accusation as an outrageous charge, questioning their credibility due to the absence of proof. Now, this intense rhetoric from Trudeau's government is seen as saber rattling. Saber rattling is where you have a knife and then you just keep, shaking it in the wind. There'll be some sound that will come. It is supposed to create fear on the other side, that, oh my God, what if this snake, this saber or sword hits me somewhere, it's going to kill me. India shared incontrovertible evidence with Canada detailing Niger's involvement in terror activities, including specific crimes with dates. This guy has been in and out of India several times. In fact, sometimes he snuck into India through Pakistan also. I mean, Niger is not exactly the candidate that you want to use if you want to stick it to a democratic country like India. You need somebody who's a genuine person who might have been genuinely wrong, not Niger. Trudeau remains in denial about the rise of criminal gangs in Canada, possibly due to fears of upsetting influential groups as Trudeau's approval ratings are declining ahead of elections. The source criticized framing criminal rivalries as a foreign conspiracy, suggesting it's part of an appeasement strategy, not responsible statecraft. I think Justin Trudeau got elected more because of who he is, of his family name. I think now he's finding out that real politics is much, much harder. Perhaps this is one reason why he's resorting to all these methods. Now, here are the critical dates. On 17th, municipal elections in Yukon. On 19th, Nova Scotia municipal elections. Also, British Columbia provincial elections on the 19th. That's a big one because there are sizable number of Sikhs in British Columbia, Vancouver, Victoria, that sort of stuff on the western coast of Canada on Pacific. Then you have New Brunswick and Saskatchewan also going to state provincial elections, respectively on 21st October and 28th October. These are the big ones. And then you have Nova Scotia going in July, and then October 20th, 2025 is when the federal elections are going to take place. This is just like India. Some states will go to elections along with the center, the others will go at different time. That's exactly what you see is playing out here. So where do things go from here? I would expect some cooling down after the 19th, because whatever needs to be said will be said. I think NDP and the Liberal Party are both jockeying for power in British Columbia. If, let's say, if one party wins over the other, that party's hand is going to be stronger, and that will reflect in the way the federal elections will be fought. It's possible 𝗥𝙗𝙘 might lose big, in which case he might come back and say, we will support you at the center, in the hope that in the next year or so he can bridge his fences, mend his fences, and try to put up a better showing in 2025. Certainly, 𝗥𝙗𝙘 is not exactly an inclusive candidate. The New Democratic Party was supposed to be for all the blue-collar workforce of Canada. How the Sikh community captured it is a question in itself. Well, we are not going to go into all that. Any party can choose anyone as its leader. There's nothing wrong in that. But the methods used, those are questionable, in my opinion, of course. And we have to wait and see how things play out. And we have a few questions, and let's take up the questions now. Magnet Ranga wants to know, can Bharat officially do anything to discourage students from opting for Canada? Actually, this should be a voluntary decision of our students. Remember what Bhartiyas did to Maldives. The best thing that can happen is people should start, circulating our videos, because we are giving you the facts, and the facts are backed up by the reference links. You should spend more time reading these reference links. Do your homework before you start investing your life savings into your kids' education in a country where things are not that safe. Next one. Can Bharat publicize the reasons for Trudeau's delayed departure from G20 held in Bharat? I think some talk was done, but I think Bharat again, handled it in a very mature way. People say that this guy had drugs on his plane and that he was drugged for some part of the conference. I don't know. These are all things that perhaps are best left, for the government agencies to comment on. Again, you're taking the attacks to a personal level, and I don't know if that's appropriate. Next one, please. Jaya Raman wants to know, will this Canada episode affect our Maharashtra Jharkhand elections? I don't think so. Pawan Kishore wants to know, can Canada saga be linked to the indigestion among West on India's rapid growth, and are these acts a plan to derail India's growing influence? That's a very good question, Pawan. Look at what's going to happen to Canada. See, Canada's health system is government run. Essentially, everyone living in Canada has access to its health system, and it's free. It's paid for by the taxpayer. So an illegal, I think they also get benefits to go to the hospital to get a proper medical support. Now, how can they keep their costs down unless they can get cheap medicines? Where can they get cheap medicines? India. Which means if there is any kind of a fracas between India and Canada, especially if India goes ahead and labels Canada as a sponsor of Khalistani terrorism, then India will put an embargo. We'll say don't sell any of these drugs to Canada. In which case their hospital costs will go through the roof, and US will be silently applauding, because then US will go back and sell to them in the high prices. Indian drug prices are a fraction of what the equivalent drugs from other Western countries are. It's a big threat to the Western pharma industry, because they say, and rightfully so, that they do all the research, they get the patent on a particular drug formulation, and then companies in India reverse engineer it in 6 months, and then they come out with an equivalent product at 1/10 the price. I mean, there is this IP, intellectual property protection, that comes into play. I'm not going to go into that. But on the ground, the truth is that India is able to reverse engineer these products. And as a theory, reverse engineering has been approved in the courts of law in the United States. That's how Compaq ended up successfully reverse engineering the IBM AT PC, and they got into the market. This is what, 25, 30, 40 years ago, when the PC revolution was about to take off. So we have to wait and see how this goes. But I think net Canada loses. Next one, please. Rajkumar Markan wants to know, CCP link to the Trudeau family is similar to their link to the Gandhi family. Correct. Spot on. I did not want to mention it. I'm glad you picked it up, Rajkumar ji. Rajiv Gandhi Foundation, Pierre Trudeau Foundation. What is there? Next one. Suresh Kumar wants to know, are there any other boiling election issues affecting Trudeau's Liberal Party? Why are they trying to frame India instead of focusing on other political issues? What is the other political issue? It's about his non-performance. What can he do? I mean, Justin Trudeau froze up the accounts of much of the Sikh driver population who was agitating for their rights about the vaccination. And he froze their accounts. I don't know how long they kept them frozen. They had to basically pull out their trucks from Ottawa, and that was a pretty big blow. And more than 𝗥𝙗𝙘 who was a part of the decision, it is Trudeau who's going to suffer that. So that could be one reason why 𝗥𝙗𝙘 has said, we are no longer supporting. Everything is politics, I tell you. Rotten politics. Next one. Rasheshwar Nath Rana wants to know, Sree sir, can you ask or question the 2008 MOU signed by Rahul Gandhi with a country without any official post? Well, it looks like what was signed was that China would help Congress party in its election funding, one, and also that I think China would probably get access to India's markets in a much freer way, and thereby what happened was the small, medium, small, micro, and medium, I don't know, SME, it's called, SME sector would be impacted, and it did get impacted a lot. I mean, UPA is in it for itself, not for anybody else. And if the Janta goes back and votes the UPA again, it's essentially BJP's fault or NDA's fault for not living up to their expectations. And they need to send some of these people to jail. Sri Vignesh wants to know, if China is behind all the funding, not all, some, then how is Canada putting hefty tax on Chinese EVs, which could jeopardize the Chinese interest in Canada, as Trudeau is like a puppet of CCP? Chinese EV tax is a US initiative. It's US which is flexing, or you can say bending the ears of not just Canada, but also many West European countries to levy tax on Chinese EVs. Story is that hundreds of EVs are parked in various ports in Western Europe, awaiting to be undocked. But questions of how much tariff to levy is being debated. I think its number is being changed from 40% to 100%. 100% it is in the United States, but again I'm hearing that it might be reduced to 50%. These are on BYD. That's one big brand in China that claims to be the be all and end all of electric vehicles. Next one, please. Maithili wants to know, can a person with Canadian green card work in US? There are some ways that you can. I'm not exactly sure how. You could see these days everything is remote, right? Can a Canadian living in Canada work for the United States? Yes, I believe that is the answer for that is yes. Because I know some time ago when I was working in a company, somebody from Nova Scotia was working in the United States, and he was basically a colleague. We never got to see him in person, but we knew each other. So it is possible. So next one, please. I think that's all the questions we have. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. I'm not 100% sure the notifications went out for this one. I certainly did not get it. So thanks once again for your resounding support. Hopefully the message spreads far and wide. Namaskar.